Hey guys, so The Conjuring 3. So this was my most anticipated movie of the year. And when I say that, I'm not being dramatic, I mean quite literally, this was my most anticipated movie of the year. And boy, did it let me down. It really, really let me down. But before we get into that, if you're new here, my name is Carissa. I do movie reviews, trailer reactions, all of that type of stuff. So if you want to see more from me, including a video where I'm going to rank all of the movies in the Conjuring universe, including The Devil Made Me Do It, please consider hitting the subscribe button or just hitting that like button if you enjoy the video. So, The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. So I was watching before I saw this movie Jeremy Gans, however you say his name, and Chris Stuckman, their movie reviews. And you know, most of the time I always agree with Jeremy. And this time Jeremy was saying that this was a bad movie. Well, he didn't say bad, but you know, he basically did. And Chris was, well, he wasn't saying it was a good movie, but he was definitely leaning more towards that he enjoyed it. And I was like, you know, for once I really, really hope that I don't agree with Jeremy, but the man is never wrong, and he wasn't wrong this time. This was not a good movie. I'm just going to say it. And I went into this movie wanting to give it every chance that I could. I really, really, really wanted to enjoy this movie. But I didn't even leave the movie feeling like I got scared at all. Like, I'm not going to need to sleep with the lights on tonight. And that's something that I can't say about the first two movies. You know, the first two movies, I was sleeping with my wardrobe light on, checking under my bed for demons, all of that stuff. But with this movie, nope. I'm going to sleep like a baby, and that's a problem for me. The first two Conjuring movies weren't perfect. They had cliches and jump scares, but they had such a great use of tension and atmosphere, and I felt like they just breathed fresh air into an almost dead genre. Well, it wasn't dead, but the horror genre. Back when The Conjuring was released, it just felt like it had gotten a bit stale, and I really like it, how it feels like it's almost an homage to the old classic haunted house, gothic horror type movies, which I love because they don't rely on blood and all of that to scare an audience. And there's nothing wrong with a good old slasher movie. You know, I love those types of movies like Scream, but at the same time, The Conjuring felt like it was going in a new direction. It was bringing something new to the horror genre. Well, not new because obviously it had been done so many times before, but sort of like Crimson Peak or The Woman in Black, it wasn't relying on all of that sort of blood and violence to scare an audience. And just in general, I just felt like the characters were so well-rounded, and you just really felt like you got to know the characters in a way that you don't generally get to know them in horror movies. It just felt like these characters were really fleshed out well, and it made you care for them. So when they start, you know, having horrible things happening to them, you care. And at the same time, as a Christian, I really loved how the Conjuring universe always has an emphasis on faith over fear. So the first two movies in the franchise were directed by James Wan. So James Wan, in my opinion, is a horror director icon. I think he's right up there with Del Toro and Burton. Ever since I saw that movie that he directed, Dead Silence, which I highly recommend you check out. It's definitely an underrated movie. I think he is an amazing horror director. And he's also an Australian like me, so that just makes him so much better. Anyway, so Michael Chabs directed this movie, so he was the one that directed The Curse of La Llorona. And I don't want to sound like I'm being unfair to him. For all I know, he might have directed other movies really, really well, but I'm just going based on what I've seen from him in this movie and in The Curse of La Llorona, and what I've seen has really not been impressive at all. You really felt James Wan's absence in this movie. So, one of the reasons that I found this movie so disappointing is because it had so much potential. So, once again, we have Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson reprising their roles as Ed and Lorraine Warren. And they do a really good job of bringing heart to this franchise that could have been straight up dark. But we see little moments like in The Conjuring 2, where Patrick Wilson, in his role as Ed Warren, he's playing the Elvis song to the family to try to cheer them up. And it's little moments like that that just bring a lot of heart to this movie. So they had a lot to work with the cast. That little boy who was also in The Haunting of Hill House, Julian Hillard, I think his name was. He did a really good job. You know, the opening sequence with the exorcism is definitely the best part of the movie, and the little boy, he really pulled it off. And after being in this movie and The Haunting of Hill House, wow, that kid is going to need some therapy. Anyway, so not only did they have a good cast, but they also had a great premise. The whole true story, you know, who knows how true it actually is. But they had a great story to work with. They had good set design. The score was really good. It added a lot of tension and drama. So there is things that I definitely liked about this movie. But despite all of that, it failed because at the end of the day, it shows how important it is to have a good director. And without a good director, this movie just flopped. This is obviously different to the first two movies because it's about a courtroom drama instead of a haunted house, but we really don't get a courtroom drama at all. The courtroom scenes are probably like 1 minute of the movie, so I felt like the trailer was definitely a marketing misdirect. And, you know, it was a red herring trailer. They completely misrepresented what this movie is. And it's basically Ed and Lorraine going on cases to try to solve the main case, which they added because they needed to pad out the story because the true aspect of it could only get them so far. So they needed to, you know, add more to the story. And that was where it just felt messy and confused and like it just didn't know where it was going. And I would have been really okay with it if it really was a good courtroom haunting type movie like it represented itself to be in the trailer, but unfortunately we just didn't get that. So it did have a few sort of nods to other famous horror movies like The Shining, and we had The Exorcist, so it was cool to see that. You can tell, I think, that Michael Chabs really is a fan of the horror genre, and he put in those little details for die-hard horror fans to spot and recognize, but in the end, he just didn't pull it off. I felt like the witch, the main villain who was controlling the demons, just wasn't scary at all. So basically this witch who used to... see, it's confusing. I'm not confused, but the story is just messy. So this witch basically is the daughter of a priest, and she went off the rails, evil, and she is controlling these demons and sending them after people to kill them so the demon can claim their soul. And one of the families that she's targeting is the main family in this movie, so Ed and Lorraine have to try to stop her. And Ed has a massive heart attack, and things look shaky for a while, but he manages to pull through, so nobody dies in this movie, though the trailer heavily hints that one of the Warrens will die. So, yeah, in the end, I just felt like it just really was not good. I would give it a C ranking, so let me know if you've seen this, what you thought about it. Did you enjoy it? Do you disagree with me? What was your favourite Conjuring Universe movie? And like I said, please consider subscribing if you want to see more videos from me and my Conjuring ranking video, which will come out soon. Thanks, guys.